Welcome everyone to another live stream here straight from our RTT ExactCODE Labs. Increasingly test infrastructure, right? I said it last year here for our Linux distribution at ExactCODE T2, the last Linux distribution you will ever need for everything from P3, SGO2, Itanium 2, latest and greatest x86 or RISC V 64. And so last year infrastructure, right? Modernizing stuff, shipping the latest and greatest, and increasingly building out here, for example, test infrastructure for booting our releases and basically, unfortunately, being the messenger, because obviously the Linux Foundation is not doing that with their over 200 million in funding. So what is for me with Linux, of course, previously, 20 years ago, for each release we usually had to, we didn't even have virtualization, right? So each release usually mean writing the resulting ISOs on some rewritable CD. Even nowadays, if you do that with USB things, it's still annoying to write latest release. I mean, of course, we test this virtualization, but there's one thing on running this on a terminal, virt.io console and stuff, then doing the real thing. So I'm building here increasingly test infrastructure. You might have previously seen that. Nothing more efficient than turning a machine on and booting on the new release. And that is what I'm just doing here today. I further improved here all our setup to not even more efficiently use all my vintage and retro gear. In case in point today, Sony Vaio P, but also Surface Pro 3, just some non-latest and greatest devices I have here from the last decade. And so it's totally amazing, right? To my surprise, both. I did not even expect either. So that's the cool thing, right? Like you have your infrastructure, all your storage area network and boot infrastructure and stuff. You turn on an Itanium, it network boots latest stuff. You turn on SGI Octane, it network boots latest stuff. You turn on MP3, it network boot latest stuff. And even Sony Vaio P and a Surface Pro 3. Both I totally unexpected. I did not expect it that the vendors, Microsoft and Sony, would put so much effort into supporting that. But it works. Amazing stuff. Unfortunately, so for me that means I built something in 2 hours, as seen yesterday there on our More Live channel. And without anything, I just turn on a device, maybe hold down a volume down key or so, and we tested, right? I don't know why the Linux Foundation is not doing this. I don't know why Red Hat is not doing this, but anyway, increasingly the stuff. The thing is, like, for me, it is a quality of life. It's a 10x, like how to become a 10x engineer, do 10x engineering things. Yes, it's old stuff. Other people do that, but apparently not the Linux Foundation or Red Hat. Because otherwise stuff would be working, right? Recurring here to the theme. Yes, the vintage week is over. I stored the Gravis Ultrasound away, where we implemented ISA plug and play, right? But similar to the Gravis Ultrasound or similar such stuff, even on just some years old, or just some 10 years old, but it doesn't even matter the most. Each machines I found bugs, right? The Sony Vaio P, this is previous video, right? If you want to see that, I would hold it in the camera, but it has a network cable. It says a short network cable. You see it on the thumbnail. And here VGN P915 with a 2 gigahertz or so Atom Z550. So for that machine, the Linux kernel unfortunately broke the already very limited GMA500, right? Remember previous live stream bisecting for hours, Xorg drivers, Mach64, like, yeah, I have bad news. GMA500 on this machine, at least when network booted, deadlocks. Something similar happens on the Surface Pro, not the Intel graphics, but something there's also not deadlocking, but kinder, like if udev ADM triggers all the UE events, not only for ISA PNP, but also PCI devices. So something, and that's the crazy stuff, right? Like everything I unpack here, it's like literally like Red Hat and the Linux Foundation test nothing. Like, I mean, maybe they test on probably all Linux developers, they run a Mac OS. Yes, I've seen this. I was joking. I find it hilarious. So many commercial Linux wannabe kernel developers run macOS, which totally triggers me and makes me sad and depressive. But if you run, like, hey, I'm freaking live streaming from a T2 amazing, just working desktop, right? And it is crazy that everything I try here has bugs. I should maybe make a dedicated video. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, this is also due. The only constant is change in regressions, right? So this godforsaken refactoring, renaming APIs, twiddling here a little bit, twiddling there a little bit, at the end of the day, just later, nothing works reliably anymore, right? So this myth of fast innovation by quickly renaming stuff because we can, in my opinion, the most broken promise of Linus Torvalds Linux development. I will not debug this GMA500 thing. The thing is, of course, there are some good things. I mean, I'm not fixing everything. I'm not fixing every Linux Foundation bug like they have 200 millions. I mean, the sad thing is they deleted rather, like Linus Torvalds Linux Foundation. It's a little bit older, let's delete it because nobody's maintaining it anymore. It's like, yeah, would also be cool if it wouldn't constantly broken. But for T2, this means, of course, each of these tests, I mean, I only want to test some stuff. I'm just shocked how much stuff is always broken. Like, and that is, unfortunately, the quality of the Linux kernel. Like, what's not tested is broken, and in the Linux kernel, that means not only ISA plug and play, but Intel Pulse Board GMA500 graphic, or whatever is going on the surface. It's not, at first I thought i915 graphics, but it isn't. 42, however, that means, as usual, multiple improvements. So first MK init.rd. When I first did this today, because I netboot, of course, stuff, but not necessarily laptops. So it turns out we have laptop drivers, we have network drivers, but not USB network. So that means a quality of life improvement instantly for T2 of also packaging in the init.rd by default, because I want my init.rd as most working as possible. What did I? Oh, this was that. I list here a bunch of network drivers. I could have packed net USB or USB net. The problem is there's also sharp sorrows. There is some analog modem, yeah, or analog or other modem. It's like we would package like half of the drivers in that USB are not really boot necessary, like nobody boots, or iPhone Ethernet tethering, right? So that is why I rather, okay, they are nice to have, but the init.rd is getting large enough. I don't need, sure, it's only 2 megabyte in drivers, but like I only need half of them, right? So that are the more useful of the USB drivers. There might be one or two others. I believe that should be, I mean, probably I have only, with all my collection, I probably have only like 3 of those, but that is basically all you probably could have. I mean, we could theoretically maybe also sort this, but I guess whatever. Yeah, I guess I could commit this disablement here, so include net USB Ethernet drivers in init.rd2, this temporary dispel PS3 VRAM, because that somehow I need to debug that there is also some regression going on. So yeah, how to make, I mean, I wish I would have the resources to bisect each bug, bisect each debug. The problem is, like, question why do we bisect like for hours and not debug? Bisecting would be taking the Linux kernel tree and epic thread rip build those kernels and boot them, because the problem is I can't even debug it, because people ask, like, why did you not debug this? Even with Xorg drivers, there were so many regressions, like 6 different bugs. It takes you a week to just old-fashioned debug that, right? So especially if it's my code base, I usually have some kind of memory state of we changed that, it could be there. But with Xorg drivers, it's such a convoluted maze of vintage code. Bisecting, right? Then you know, okay, it's that change, then it's whatever mode setting, right? Similar to the Linux kernel, right? Like, I can't even debug this because as soon as I load the bloody GMA500 driver, the machine is dead, right? Amazing monolithic, not microkernel engineering. You load a driver, you crash your kernel. It's like, yeah, good luck debugging this with a crashed machine. So theoretically, shall I subscribe? Thankfully, I have. But the thing is, I probably don't bisect this, right? Like, if you want to have something to fix, GMA500 is broken for me. Thankfully I have reverse engineering GMA500. I rather reverse engineer and write a 3D driver for my microkernel, because this old-fashioned Linus Torvalds single address space multi-kernel where everything is crashing each other here and deadlocking the machine is... we use it, it's the best open source kernel, the best and highest performance and full-featured, but there is so much. Hey, I fixed ISA PNP yesterday, so GMA500. Theoretically, so on the other improvement, there's also a tiny typo. There's one strange boot output which we probably want to tackle eventually. I also changed the wording here in this 5 init, because the thing is, the more I look on stuff, all right, here's also defs. So for example, I found accidentally here was defs still in there. That is actually long obsolete. So that is at least another win of not only network USB drivers, like now you can in T2 NFS mount or other high performance block network files like ATI, iSCSI and so on, right, over USB, because why not, for testing. Here I remove the local, because technically that is not, sure it is mostly local, but it's also remounting, because I was wondering, because it was hanging, right, like the Sony Vaio was crashing, the Microsoft Surface was still blinking a cursor but not proceeding boot. And then I was wondering, because there was also a message of not something read-only. So I was wondering, did our init script even remount the root file system read-write? And turns out, yes, it did. So I removed here the local, because at some other place we also don't have local. Because, I mean, yeah, we technically also remount, like remounting root read-write could be a network file system. So a little bit wording, a little bit cleaner, but also then I realized here is defs, right? So obviously that is long dead. There is 10 years, that chip has sailed probably for nearly 15 years. And that are the small cleanups. Also, I probably commit this separately, because I believe there was NFS in another defs. I, of course, instantly grabbed the whole tree for defs. We could somehow and that is the attention for detail, right? Other Linux distributions like Oracle's Broken Linux or so, they would have strange boot messages or diagnostics forever. Like eventually, I mean, we test so much, eventually we see this and correct that. And then this just looks a tiny little bit nicer. Let's see if that merges. That merged because should I grab, there was another all right, was it only there? I mean, thankfully they were not the most. Okay, let's just init move long obsolete FFS from. So just for the sake of proper atomic separated commits, I could have committed this together. And there's also, I tweaked a tiny little bit at, was it DR boots that we don't even use, like we don't use it primarily, but remove decade old def environ remove decade old def misc environ def from nodes to module. So that's of course unfortunate, right? So much effort I put in, even make ISA plug-and-play stuff working, and then the Linux Foundation, all the developers in their only constant exchange and regressions break not only the GMA 500 driver. I mean, the most minimal, it was already the most minimal mode setting driver, right? Because top secret imagination power VR and corporate interests, yada, 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 whatever. So not only did we never had a 3D driver, at least, ironically, I think we had two different, the companies are so stupid and brain damaged, right? Brain dead, that they rather, Imagination Technologies, and Intel, they rather, I think they had two different Power VR drivers that were both differently binary only and cursed and broken, that only worked somewhat. They rather had two binary only drivers that barely worked and obviously don't work anymore and stuff, than having one open source driver. And now, 2 decades soon later, finally Imagination Technologies, before they are finally bankrupt and stuff, they finally work on an open source driver. It's like, thank you very much, 2 decades, too little too late, 2 decades later. Yeah. Anyway, and also the Surface. So I'm not even sure how, because if we are lucky, let's maybe dump, because to diagnose, ideally we should diagnose what breaks NFS root. So it is possible that we only lose some USB thing, because that is USB Ethernet on the docking station, right? For NFS root. So it is possible that this regression is NFS root only for, or network only for breaking the network, which, by the way, so, oh wait, this is the Sony YOP, that is core, I mean, that is not even that old cursed stuff, right? That is, I mean, only a decade. I mean, still, I mean, that is really, you can browse the internet with core like i7 ULV, yeah. Again, better than nothing, right? I mean, other people, I mean, you could still, I mean, we still use it here as a office machine thing in the office, right? Like, you buy it once, you use it for decades, right? Like, at least that is, I thought, what normal people do. Anyway, so there are probably not really many, also some NFS, that's the NFS root, some log lost, whatever. NFS, rocket science, pretty difficult. Like NFS version 4 times rewritten, still losing logs. It's probably normal. Yeah, I will explore other storage and area network things, right? Like we will not settle for NFS. I will, over the time, try all, certainly fix bugs and improve T2, right? Why is T2 increasingly successful? Because some crazy people polish each small, like imagine an operating system where every small thing that sucks is improved. If I just wish Linux Foundation wouldn't cause so many bugs and regressions. So let me think. I probably, you know what, the NFS root I have here on the horizon. So that is NFS root. Of course, long term that will live in a distributed storage area network, like maybe next month. But for now I have that here for testing purposes. And lib modules 6, 7, probably just. We need to make sure if we trigger udev not to load this, so maybe we call this like backup and move all directories into backup, because then we can, so then udev can load, let's see what udev would, then we can, so this instantly changes here, right? This is one shared network file system, so lib modules, this is the wrong system, it's this one here. Maybe I should actually swap those for here. 6, 7, yes, we test here everything, including 6, 7, 10, and 8. And yeah, I guess when would udev, maybe we kill udev. I believe it was like that. Or is it not? Let's see, is this? Okay, that is running. Then triggers this U event generation. So we renamed the modules so they didn't load, but I guess that should give us in the udev in memories database info. Is it export db? Yeah. And so here we would hopefully, the driver, or Here, for example, I mean, maybe it is only some CDC Ethernet versus... Okay, that is probably what it should load, which is maybe not that much. Not really sure. Is it really that some of those? Is there really some module that's named? Why is this? I mean, maybe it's built in. I mean, sometimes it also lists built-in drivers here. Do we have to have a module? Not dev mode. Maybe it's just CDC Ethernet, because this is, I believe that it's also a little bit stupid, like as so much stuff in technology, that is this RTL gigabit Ethernet surface Ethernet adapter thing here. And maybe it is, I actually listed as USB class, not vendor specific. So maybe that is here driver CDC Ether. Maybe the only problem is that, because I know that I even patched that. I mean, it's only thanks to me that is working as this upstream. I sent this 9 years ago, so upstream. Maybe that is just some strange bug, because I believe this driver... So the thing is probably the Microsoft Realtek thing here signals render like a USB class Ethernet thing, and that would match that. Maybe that is just... but that is not the driver. I think so. And that is also what I really hate. What the problem is that this PC inspired, like at Apple and Sun. I mean, especially Sun, like Sun SGI, but also Apple previously, like decades ago, you would get really high quality devices, right? And then the low cost, low quality, cheap PC stuff, they produce garbage, unreliable, buggy devices year after year. And also this USB, right? There is USB Ethernet class, like not that all the USB Ethernet dongles would, would support all the same, like we have human interface devices, which are also cursed and buggy. Like basically everything the cheap PC vendors touch, they break with bugs in cursed ways, because yeah, they have no attention to detail, no engineering culture, and just clobber the cheapest stuff they find to work. Maybe that is a problem, that we have already a driver matched and that CDC Ethernet. I've never seen that. I mean, it's the first time today that I network booted the Surface. Never had need. It's just like building the test infrastructure and being able to like plug everything in and within a minute see what's freaking broken, which probably I shouldn't do because I get depressed of seeing all the brokenness. Let's maybe try if we move. So what we could do is we could write a shell loop of that, like we we could also unique that, sort unique here. That's alarm timer? Seriously? I mean, we could write a loop loading one by one, but I have the suspicion it is just this one here. And I'm already 10 reboots, right? I mean, first I thought somehow NFS network boot thing is somehow cursed, because it was starting to boot and then hanging, right? First I wasted like 10 minutes, because obviously I need to hold the bloody power button, then like half a minute for the thing to force shutdowns, already like half a minute lost here, then rebooting, like holding the power volume down button and stuff, like waiting and stuff on another probably minute. And so I first probably wasted 10 minutes rebooting 3 or 4 times until I realized there must be something else going on. I mean, and that is also how wasteful this is if the Linux kernel people constantly break stuff, right? And 10 minutes is efficient, other people lose an hour or weekend, right? I mean, God forbid I should debug this DMA 500 pulse breakage there. And that is a problem, right? I mean, a normal user could not even, like if it just crashes, burns, halts and catches fire during boot, it's not like normal people could actually diagnose that, right? And that is also why, in my opinion, we want a multi-server microkernel. So, and also not only stable drivers, but like, I'm aware, yes, the graphics, the super complex graphic stuff, when hardware doesn't respond and locks a PCI bus, yes, it can kill the machine even in even in the best multi-server microkernels. That is really unfortunate. But I would say 95+% of all the whole system breakage should potentially be prevented with a multi-server microkernel. And yes, there are some, it's just there are no good ones, but it is. Anyway, is anyone here, by the way? I see there are some people tuning in, but no comments. Is just my chat comment stuff not loading, or are you all just busy and not chat happy today? Yeah, 30 people tuning in. That is amazing. Thank you all. Hope you're all doing well and enjoy our test efforts. So let's disable this here temporarily. Disable. Because we have already from booting. I mean, the funny thing is, during boot, the other driver is loaded. I have quite some stuff already loaded. Oh wait, that actually CDC Ethernet is loaded. Actually, that is crazy. Why? Since when does this match to? I thought this matches. That is crazy that that works. I thought only the retech driver works for that. I'm stunned because 9 years ago I actually patched. So this is Realtek, as you've seen. And there is a retake at RTL81 whatever driver, gig E. I mean, it is possible. So it is possible that this USB devices sometimes behave differently with other firmware load. It is possible because I think from Microsoft shipping the Surface, network boot was disabled. It is the first time I today enabled network booting. So it is entirely possible that enabling network booting has other firmware preloaded, like into the USB hardware. Yeah, it doesn't explain why it breaks though. So I think I never before was able to use the CDC Ethernet driver. I was always using some RTL driver. That is bizarre. Today I learned. This is crazy stuff. Andreas Baumann installs TSM on book 8088. That is amazing. Welcome everyone. Happy to see you. Have you ever worked on stuff on the working? Okay, great. Happy that that's of course, I appreciate, and it's so interesting that so many people like to co-work, having me talk here or do stuff in the rhythm. Yeah, blacklist module, if I would know which module. And also, like, if I fire udev ADM, it's like, yeah, I could blast somewhere, but I just, for the reliability, like, if you reboot it 10 times, I just rename the module to make really sure it's not loaded. I mean, maybe then loading, also loading with, again, should actually not really load this. What we probably should do is drivers USB net. Hello, net, or was it, what is it, net USB? Net USB. So what do we have? 8.1. So I guess it's that one. Maybe, yeah, maybe this module wants to take over and then I lose the NFS, more than my NFS, and that obviously kills the machine entirely. It's so funny how strangely they named some with RTL, some with RT. I guess if we fire udev ADM trigger, okay, is that really? So it's one of those drivers. I'm just wondering that. Also, do I have my video running? Yeah, so it's one of those drivers. I mean, for normal people, it doesn't matter that most, the most. But there's another regression. I have two Surface Pros. The Surface Pro 2, which I use at home, has also another regression. So this regression is not the most severe, but maybe I take the Surface Pro 3 home for a test, because on my Surface Pro 2, since the last T2 builds, the external display port is flickering with even the most old crappy display that I have at home, just to sometimes work something. And so like, yeah, for nearly a decade that worked, and then 2024 Intel i915 on some old, I think it's the same, because I think it should have the same regression, because I believe, that's also the wrong machine. Or did I, wait, where did I even use udev ADM? Or did I even do this on the right machine? Apparently. I thought, yeah. I need to check what's going on there. It might be something like transparent. Remember this frame buffer compression that also every now and then failed? So it's probably one of those. I mean, it probably we have 8153, so I would think it should be that one. No. That is, or is it that one? You never, maybe. Yeah, the problem is sometimes with the same number, the modules match anyway. These chips can also be in different modes. From what I remember, this 8153 has some Ethernet CDC class, Ethernet class device compatible mode, and yeah, okay, that one. I mean, it's crazy that, so yeah, now as you see, no, it's dead. We're probably lost the, yeah, it didn't, it's like, yeah, it's dead. Okay, it's that one, that is rather annoying. So basically, I mean, for most people it doesn't matter. For me, it just sucks for testing. Like if I wanted to use this as a Intel standard hardware to test sometimes, so yeah. Leave in the comments below what you believe might to do. So we did one thing also, we should actually wait. So I noticed sometimes with USB devices, so it's also the thing that I never notice on servers, because usually on servers the Ethernet stuff is PCIe and that just works rather instantly. With these USB devices, it sometimes takes a second or two for the device to appear. So yeah, RT81. So there's always one more thing. So RT and GMA for friend. The question is what to do with that. It's also strange. Like, why does this? I mean, what might happen is I see nothing, right? That's the problem with this Linux kernel stuff. Like, no, it's crashed. Now it's like, yeah, that's fun to analyze. I mean, I can still move the mouse cursor. What do I mean? I don't get why this doesn't load, or is this not in the init ID? x86. Is there a typo and RT8150 8152? Oh, it's R8152. Okay, maybe I have a typo in. But I would also argue, like, if one driver, I don't understand how this driver can, should the Linux USB core not prevent, like, if one device and interface is active, like, how can this even take it over? No, I have R152. Why does this not? Did I think I manually, right, because I manually rebuilt it. That is why it's not in the log. I mean, theoretically, I was thinking previously this could be sorted. It's just like, this is not sorted because I ls that and ls did not print the sorted because it was multi-column. And maybe by default ls doesn't sort. Maybe you need to tell it to sort. What did I copy? Some C, CX, CD, R, TL. Nah, I should have sorted this before I committed this, but I specifically didn't want to touch it. Also, this is not fully sorted. Q, AQ, AS, AX. Yeah, I would love to use, and this could also be better sorted, right? It's a little bit annoying that in NetUSB it's also Soros, and I mean, yeah, analog modem stuff is ACM or whatever, analog communications cloth stuff. So the module should be in there. I probably did run it like so. We can check if, I mean, we could also simply extract it. It was R, was it 8152? Oh, this needs firmware skipped? Oh wait, this is skipped due to firmware? Okay, that explains why this is out of sync. Okay, that is, but it still sucks. Like, how can it's inactive? I mean, that is the stuff that is so frustrating, right? Like, if this would be my kernel, like how can a driver take over another driver that is active? It's also crazy that we have an R8152 driver where if the CDC Ethernet driver works. R8152. So yeah, it's for 52. I mean, maybe it should have been named 8150X or so. But anyway. Do we not have this RTLNIC firmware? That is so crazy. It lists firmware, but then works also without it. Do we not have this firmware or what? But here we have, maybe there is some even 56. I mean, what a misnamed driver if it's like not only 4.2 but also. Do we have all of those? Maybe there is a bug in firmware test enumeration. We have 6, 56B, 56A-2. 53C1, 24. Oh shit, do we even have all of those bloody firmwares? I mean, they should come from Linux firmware. The only question is, do we have... maybe I should... Do we not include, what did I even program there? So if firmware I'm a little bit confused. What was my thinking here? Actually, we should log. Do we iterate for all for F and then firmware? Yeah, okay, I have here some loop for multiple firmware. What is the output there? R8152. What was my thinking regarding this firmware thing? If firmware or vital mods. So we do not run this firmware. I totally don't remember why that is not. Here in 2020 I changed it to not include firmware by default. The question is, how much larger does it become with firmware? Did it become so large? I totally don't remember why I disabled that. It's also like, okay, currently, I mean, it's a whopping 23 megabyte already. How much larger does it get? Okay, it becomes 15 freaking megabyte larger. Maybe that's why I disabled this. Maybe it was just extremely too much for my taste. This is also strange. Why does this list this as empty string? I mean, as a workaround, I mean, I don't really want to double. Maybe that is why I disabled this. Maybe I realized, darn, maybe it did not even boot on like reasonable memory machines anymore. I should have added a comment there, though. Why? Do we compress the firmware by? we compress it by default. Maybe we mark it vital. It's probably just to, I mean, maybe there are, I mean, thankfully there are not that many USB Ethernet things. Yeah, how the init RD size keeps growing a megabyte here. Serve TFTP it probably should be there. Yeah, now I need to press. The problem is I have the suspicion the power button is already a little bit flanky after. Not only after pressing it so often, which until today I didn't have to press it that often. However, yeah, SMD buttons, right? I think after carrying it for some years in my office bag, this power button was actually pressed too often between things in my office bag and effectively damaging it a little bit. So it doesn't always have the best contact anymore. Let's hope I copied that to the right directory. Welcome everyone. What I did I edit this already too? So yeah, the USB Ethernet is, I think the Sony VIOP boots faster, like it's basically loading stuff like 30 seconds, like that's still blinking. Yeah, that is a little bit near, but still faster than. Yeah, no, the Ethernet didn't. It says didn't find the 8152. Did I do here some? I think it should be in here, right? Let me just double check that. Maybe I had this with, did I have this with underscore or something? No, I copied this into the wrong directory. Usually I use, why did I even use? Probably, yeah, it's not ideal. Once I use the underscore naming and immediately regret it. But, so this was anyway, yeah, the problem is this USB device didn't, wait, I can echo O to power off to proc this request trigger, then I can save the SMD button a little bit. Ideally, I also would want this code to, what was it, 6, 7, 10? What happened now? Ideally, I would want to wait for the Ethernet device. Can we somehow roll that into the boot loop here? While stuff waiting, because waiting for... So what is our route for NFS? Also, you know what you want syntax highlighting, right? People always hate me for... Here you have an IDE. There is your IDE. Lisp IDE. So root, what do we set root to? Address, do we even set root? Oh, shit, it again didn't. This is why. Again didn't come up. Yeah, but now it has R8152. Let's see if we can somehow, what is our root here? While, where is our NFS? Diskless network. We said, what do we, if otherwise, if scanning for, where do we have waiting? Here's udev here is it. If access root or address mounting, where do we have waiting for? Here's resume. Only print once, waiting for root. I guess we can slightly refactor that. Nothing like the only constants change in regressions. Let's echo this proc this request. My poor SMD buttons. I'm certainly stressed here. So we could reuse the same waiting loop there for Ethernet by simply setting the root device to this class Ethernet 0 as 0. So basically diskless network, so that is address here. If address equals that. Get the root device, so diskless address like that. And then we set, here we have IP config. Okay, we need to move that further down. Darn, I boot the wrong kernel, shit. And we override root to this class net as 0. And theoretically, we probably need an override for the Ethernet device. But for now that, then we wait for this class net as 0 to appear. So via root and stuff, open, so okay, I did this wrong, echo, nothing like switching this off again, this proc, this request. Root, open, okay, that is some additional, maybe resume from disk. Swap, so here was where do we even wait? Do we have continue here? Do we have, Where do we have if exists? I don't know. Yeah, that is the thing. This surface is a little bit glitchy. I mean, no, it didn't. This is also crazy, right? The big mega corporations, including Microsoft, build devices where I have the matching keyboard and the bloody matching dock, and sometimes on boot, it's like, yeah, like who cares with Windows, right? Because they don't touch their pre-boot environment. But no, you reboot 5 times, now it didn't recognize its own bloody I2C or whatnot connected official Surface keyboard. It's like, one more reboot. If yada yada, not really sure I had this condition. So putting the right thing there. Yes, you want a behind the scenes camera. Share, like, and subscribe for more camera views and angles. So somewhere here, why do I unset address here? Scanning for not. So basically, if we network boot, if we have an address, then network boot, then ipconfig f0. And why did I had unset address here? Maybe because otherwise it's, maybe we put it here then. Yeah, again, didn't boot. Yeah, that is why I do this, right? Like, even for me, like, it before the live stream, it appeared to work like most of the time, but like, yeah, again, didn't have the, like, the problem is with this asynchronous USB discovery, you just run synchronous code and the USB stuff didn't enumerate yet, so it's like, yeah, you run ipconfig, it's not there yet and doesn't work. So yeah, address not equal, then that stuff, otherwise unset address. So here's all this root stuff. Do we even need to be careful not that I'm setting this root thing to some directory causes other regressions? But yeah, if then here, if root exists, or so yeah, basically we can then remove the address here. So then basically we only go in here if we have the root, if basically this is also, we want that later. Does this work if dev? I think this should, so we only match here dev patterns. That is safe to do. Okay, so then if that finally exists, then if we network boot, somehow this is now pretty out of indentation here. So all this. Theoretically, we might need, if we wanted to be really perfectionist, we would need an echo here. How do we do that? Does the PDKSA echo, does this have? I think it's N, right? Yeah, that appears to work with PDKs, and I would say, because we have this fancy, we did this some weeks ago, this overly fancy attention to detail of making sure we are at the beginning of the line after So that would be no new line, but maybe our new line here of otherwise. I hate when after our waiting dots then the ipconfig would print on in the middle into the middle of the line. So it's like, yeah, it's somehow, it's a little bit indentation here, a little bit near now. But I hate to re-indent all of this just because I rather have stuff a little bit differently indented than the version control history completely disturbed. So does it have a chance to work? Diskless network root address. If address not root, then file system manifest the stuff by default. Root class net Ethernet for this test there. Else on set address. This stuff was moved up and down. Then if root finally exists, then address echo and ipconfig and then mount this stuff. Oh wait, we disturbed the root here. That is not ideal. Okay, we can't. Maybe we need to. We need to save the root then. So what I usually do for shadow variables like that is root equals root, because we actually need that. So save it there, and then just to be nice. I think this should work, right? Yeah. Good, this has probably a chance to work. Let's rebuild the initRD x86-64 and the initRD. If T2 GNU Linux distribution is suitable for beginners or doesn't. Of course it's suitable for the beginners, and if you are very much a beginner, you will just learn some new things, and after that you are more knowledgeable. So definitely go for it. Worst case is you learn some things, and learning some things is always good. And if you run into some issues, comment below, send us an email, Discord, Reddit, Mastodon, tweet thing, to let us know, to make it better. So echo proc this request. This request trigger. Yeah, we have ambitions. We want to become one of the top, if not. Yeah, we have way to go, but I'm on fire. I'm sick and tired of macOS. I didn't use Windows since 1996, unlike sometimes a little bit for an hour of touching up something in our Windows port or stuff. But like I didn't use Windows like for anything other than an hour of software development for our Windows product. Like, I mean, Windows is unusable, right? Like unstable piece of undebuggable, yeah. And obviously Linux distributions, I mean, just look how much we fix here, right? Like, why do I not use another Linux distribution? Have you seen the other Linux distributions? Yes, I know we don't have binary streams and stuff. Like basically, if we next have binary streams like macOS and maybe a smooth default UI, I think we are up to something. We just need a little bit of choosing the right UI thing and providing some software binary update seeds, and maybe it's actually the best Linux distribution. Including for PS3, Itanium, and MIPS and RISC-V. I wanted to check if we included 80, what was the bloody 50, oh, what was 52, oh, what was it? I forgot. 80, I think, right, it was 80, 152? Needs firmware, yada yada, not included. Okay, fine. Then scpz boot to underscore, as much as I hate underscore. And then turn that on. If you didn't know, power volume button up, turning a surface on with power volume button up enters BIOS, and with volume button down, alternative boots from USB or, if enabled, network. Let's see. If we are super unlucky, we will hit a syntax error. Actually, pro tip, I should have run it in QEMU for a quick test run, that there wasn't a trial syntax error, but feeling lucky, right? Oh wait, why does it now say, this is funny, now it says start PXE over IPv4. Why does it say that? I thought it did say the whole time IPv6, that is funny. Why does it now say I'm pretty sure I stared like 20 times and I was already wondering, because the surface stuff printed PXE whatever over IPv6. I was like, yeah, that's the stuff. I mean, we have IPv6 here. I just like, does it really do IPv6 PXE bootp stuff? And now it printed IPv4. That is funny. I wonder how the surface thing. That's just like, yeah, each time you look on there, the stuff prints something, other random thing. Yeah, so the code is shellx and subscribe for more camera views. KENet or D, so that, oh, there's also some space going on, that's not ideal. How did this get there? Ah, this even freaking worked, you see? I don't know if it waited, so running, it fully booted, amazing, didn't hang up. You see, and this is, ladies and gentlemen, so I would say it's still a kernel bug, because, oh wait, why are we not? That is, we are somewhat booted, but hanging again. IP config, I mean, it's just freaking small text now. Mounting 192.2. It's somehow still not perfect. Why did this? Ah, no, why did this take so long? What was it hanging on? I don't even know what it did hang on. I have no idea what it was stalling on so long. Anyway, it's up and running, that's amazing. And that is this attention to detail. I just with Linus Torvalds or his funny Linux Foundation that spends 98% of their 200 million. Imagine if the Linux Foundation, maybe I should apply for the Linux Foundation. Hey, don't you have 100,000 a year for my salary of full-time Linux kernel testing and filling all the bugs upstream? Because, yeah. Because again, to summarize it, turning on my precious Sony Vario P, previous well-received video, probably nearly 100,000 views of this precious, right? If you, I probably, you know what, let's switch it down, let's turn it, is it this one here? It's like, can you still use a set series atom? Yes, you can. Shut down H0. Just not to pull it out here, processing, going to hold the system, amazing, system is halted. Not to, so if you're wondering, this is precious, yes, this fine hardware, I just wish But it's also amazing that you can network boot this, right? I didn't expect that. Like previous video, right? One of the most amazing, yes, it's some Japanese edition. That certainly looks, it's not the most usable. I mean, mostly due to the Japanese, but certainly the Japanese keys. I mean, it's not, the thing is like, I even got this affordable some years ago. Like often people want like 900 freaking euros for that or so. It's not my preferred color in gold, but given that I got that, it's like, was it 200? I mean, 200 is still, I mean, 4 years ago wasn't even that bad. Anyway, for 200 or so euro, whatever it was, 180. Not my preferred color, but this Japanese keyboard certainly contributes to absolute Hollywood movie style factor. For the price and keyboards like gold, whatever, otherwise I would have preferred black, red or blue or purple, but can get, I mean, gold, yeah, gold is just not my color, but some people probably could argue that that gold is cool. Anyway, nonetheless, anyway, amazing machine, right? It's like, yeah, it's like what does stop you developing T2 Linux on the go like that, if that is not like, by the way, as seen in some Hollywood movies, including The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, if you want to see good movies. So, yeah, GMA 500 another day. Preferably, I will probably not spend, like, I rather spend a week on reverse engineering this Pulspo stuff than working on this limited and now broken GMA 500 driver. Linux Foundation priorities. The Surface stuff is booting, that is amazing. I, for some strange reason, get an illegal instruction. And why do we test this stuff? Obviously, we want our Linux distribution tested, and what's not tested is broken. And I found, I mean, not only we improved our network booting, right? Like you can, since the Zen today, you can network boot T2 from by default without special quirks and stuff like other distributions. Yeah, you need to custom build an init ID and stuff. No, our init ID by default supports all useful features, including now network booting from USB Ethernet NICs, including the Surface, and actually waiting like next feature, right? And I improved, for years I booted, and then I previously already improved the init ID for more asynchronous waiting for storage for SARS, right? Serial attached SCSI, right, on the IBM OpenPower 8 and Sun T4, and not even that. And yeah, you can, that even with most minimal resources, as shown here by the ExactCODE Linux Test Lab Foundation or so, and our tiny little, you can with minimal resources, highly automated and optimized, maintain a Linux distribution for all 30 CPU architectures, even those deleted by Linus Torvalds, including Itanium and 32-bit Spark, 486 and stuff. So yeah, I get, to my surprise, I got a illegal instruction running Firefox. The question is, do I have, and I don't think I should, so the question is what's even going on there, or some other, because I thought I had tested Firefox in, did we test? That is, I know it's maybe not the very latest build, that might be last, I mean, okay, maybe I really, okay, maybe that's actually true. Okay, I probably don't need to debug this. I somehow had Senver 4 in some test build. Maybe it's really built for Senver 4. Anyway, that's it for this video. As usual, that is how you do it. Testing, the only substitute for testing is more testing, and automate the heck out of everything. Package updates, testing infrastructure. It's crazy that neither Red Hat nor the Linux Foundation apparently obviously does it as much as we're currently broken. Hope you enjoyed this and learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Maybe don't delay, try T2 Linux today. Patreon or GitHub, YouTube membership. And let's see what else do we have there. Welcome everyone. The Linux Foundation would, yeah, the Graver says the Linux Foundation would probably grant them some money if your project had nothing to do with Linux. Yeah, let's apply for some fake project, like, hey, AI, we file an AI project. But no, anyway, The problem is, my impression is that the Linux Foundation is very good at redistributing this corporate money to the corporate company projects, which is why they spend 98% or so, or nearly 98, like 97.2 or 3 or whatever, for strange corporate bullshit projects. So yeah, it's probably nothing to do with applying for different projects. It's probably just like Huawei, Intel, and IBM dictate, and Google and Facebook, like it's going to this, like they sit there as a board of directors, and it's like we funnel the money with our tax-free money to bullshit projects. So yeah. Anyway, regarding to your earlier stream, RVVO7 stuff, have seen recent vector work in GCC. Any thoughts on that? I've not seen that. I think, did you? I mean, yeah, I would appreciate. I mean, it's cool. I said it might never be supported, but turns out apparently it will be a little bit somewhat supported. I'm not sure if you posted that or someone else posted something similar. I didn't realize that, but it certainly appreciated that with millions of devices out there, that there is then some hopefully auto vectorization. That would be amazing, because otherwise it would suck and most people would never use it. Wonder if there are any plans to incorporate some of that into the kernel. I mean, yeah, it was previously sent upstream. I don't understand why the alternative patching was not applied. Probably the usual RISC-V maintainers don't like this 0.7 draft spec stuff. I guess if it's supported in GCC and more high-performance RISC-V stuff coming out, there probably should be chances for this RVVO7 alternative patching eventually ending up in the kernel. GCC 14, they are making X vector as an alternative vector mode, RVV complete instead of just TO7. Yeah, we will see. So I'm surprised that they put more efforts into that than I expected. I hope you enjoyed to learn something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, especially for all the RISC-V stuff to come. Have a good day or night. Maybe go out and fix some bugs, and I hope to see you soon for all the next fun stuff to come. There's my mouse.